Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to the Edgewood Bath and Tennis Club here in Middlebury, Connecticut. Your Post University Eagles looking to keep their winning ways going. Got a big win the other day against Goldie Beacom at home, and now we're going to try and make it two in a row, taking on Dominican from New York. Another conference matchup. They beat them 5-2 earlier on the road this year. We got some changes in the doubles today. On court number one, it is Michaela Rossignolo and Natalia Gonzalez Ramos. On court number two, it's Megan Lombard and Nina Langenfeld. And then on court three, it's Julia Dacchio and Oceane Melvery for the doubles three. Cece D'Souza not here today. And some of the teammates, if she's watching right now, asked me to say that they miss you. They were trying to come up to the camera and make hand gestures to say that they missed you, Cece, and wanted to confirm that you were, in fact, watching the live stream. So I was tasked with letting everybody know that they miss you today, and we hope to see you soon. I'll probably come up to the cameras eventually later, but if you're watching, we miss you today. And she is not participating in this matchup today between the two sides. They just got underway a little while ago, and as I look across the screen, we got 1-1 on court one, we got 1-0 in favor of Dominican on court two, and 1-0 in favor of the Eagles on court number three. So that's your scoring update for now. We'll keep it tuned here. It may rain. If it does rain, we'll probably have to shut down the stream just because we are outside with no coverage, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And until then, continue to enjoy the action. We're looking at court two with court one in the background here on the Nest Network, brought to you by CAC Network and streaming on YouTube. Right, so here's your update so far with the doubles. Julia Dacchio and Oceane Malvray finished off the doubles three with a 6-2 victory, it looks like. They reset the score on the second court, but it was Nina Langenfeld and Megan Lombard falling in that doubles matchup. So what you're looking at right now is the deciding match for the doubles point. Who will get it will be Dominican or Post. Right now it is currently 5-2 in favor of Dominican. So the Eagles, Michaela Rossignolo and Natalia Gonzalez-Ramos will have to figure out a way to make up the margin. Again, if they get it to 6-5, then you would go to the... You'd eventually need to get that 7th point. You have to win by 2 in that regard. So we would either be going to a tiebreaker if it gets to 6-5 to decide things. But both teams still trying to figure it out. And pretty much this one will decide who ends up getting the doubles point. And again, like we mentioned, Cece D'Souza not here today for this matchup. She typically would play in the number 2 with Gonzalez Ramos, and Rossignolo would typically play with Lombard in the 1. So a little bit of a difference today with that change. And again, if you're watching CC, your teammates miss you and asked us to say that over the air. So continue to roll here, and it's just been over 30 minutes. A little bit of a light mist on and off here and there, but nothing too crazy to affect how things are being played out today. And while this is going on, let's give you a recap of how things went against Dominican earlier this year on the road. It was, again, a 5-2 victory for your Eagles in Orangeburg, New York. Back last month, Lombard and Rossignolo took that doubles 1, 6-4, and then Gonzalez Ramos and Cece D'Souza fell in the doubles 2, actually. Langenfeld and Dacchio won the doubles 3. So last time out, Eagles were actually able to take that match, the doubles points. So this would be a little bit of a reversal from the other time around. Again, though, they won that one 5-2. But again, the difference also was D'Souza was here playing in the singles one as well. So that was another point for the Eagles in regards to the singles matchups. But Eagles seeing if they can get it done without her today. Chargers came into this game 0-5 overall, 0-5 in conference play as well. Something to keep in mind. All time in the season series, Eagles are 5-0. So this is the 6th matchup between the two teams. They've won 5-2 twice, 4-3 twice as well, and then 6-1 way back in 2019. So a big battle here back and forth to decide who's going to get that doubles point and have that advantage going into the singles, in which they would just need 3 wins in the singles to win today's match. Also keep in mind, too, later on today, we do have women's volleyball against Damon University at 6 o'clock. It'll be streaming on YouTube and the CACC network. That kicks off at 6 o'clock tonight as the Eagles look to snap a 5-game losing streak. They lost last night to New Haven in 4 sets. Still a 5-2 score over here. We do have an ITA official who is turning the cards as well, because this is the only match still going on. So we'll be getting updates from there more than likely as this progresses, but both teams have been going back and forth still over the last few minutes or so. Again, this will decide who gets the doubles point after both teams split on the middle course. I believe it was 6-1 now that I think about it for Langenfeld and Lombard in their loss. It was that, and another nice finish up front. I think that was Rossignolo. Couldn't quite tell because I had the windscreen in my face. So the Eagles putting up a fight here. Again, just coming off of a 4-game losing streak. Dropped them to 500. 3 in-conference losses. Got a win last time out the other day against Goldie Beacom. What a nice finish there by the Chargers. They finished off Goldie Beacom, got back in the win column. They currently are 6-5, 3-3 overall in conference play. They sit 4th overall in the conference standings as Wilmington and Jefferson are ahead of them, and I believe Chestnut Hill as well. Don't quote me on that, I have to confirm. But I believe at last check they were sitting in 4th overall in conference play. Overall in the year, like I said, 6-5, a couple of non-conference wins. They are 3-3 in conference play. So do the math on that. The 2 non-conference games there's been more than that in terms of non-conference games. They've played Dewville, Bentley, and Assumption. That was 3 already right there. So, that was correct. Being 3-3 and then 6-5 overall, that's 5 non-conference matchups. So, Do the math on that, they're 3-2 in non-conference games. They will have a few more non-conference games coming up as well. The next home game for them will be against AIC next week on Friday. We will have that one for you as it's our only event going on for the day. And then I believe, without the schedule right in front of me, they close out the season, the home season, against Chestnut Hill. A battle in which the Eagles lost on the road earlier this year 5-2. So that'll be an interesting one to see if the Eagles can recover. Again, weren't able to beat the Juggernauts at home, but can they beat them on the road will be the big question, and kind of split that season series and make their presence felt. It's been a little bit of an inconsistent up and down effort for them so far this year in terms of where they're winning and where they're losing, and that does it. So it looks like we're going to have a 6-2 final on court number 1. Dominican takes 2 of the 3 doubles, which means they take the doubles point. They lead 1-0 heading into the 6 single matchups coming up right now. Eagles will need to get 4 wins in order to get the victory today. We look ahead at the schedule. Eagles on the road at University of New Haven on Monday. Then they go to Wilmington University on Wednesday. Home against AIC on Friday. Then hit the road again on Saturday to play Jefferson. So a very, very, very busy week coming up for the Eagles, having 4 matchups in the matter of 5 days starting on Monday, with only Tuesday and Thursday being the days off, in 6 days. Then they'll come back here to take on Chestnut Hill, which will be their final home match, and then St. Thomas Aquinas on the road the very next day. So a very busy time for all of athletics as hockey gets underway soon. The first matchup you see on the site for men's ice hockey is an exhibition against Alvernia that will not be streamed or statted, but they kick off. Women's ice hockey kicked off last week, so a lot of action going on. We're going to keep it on court 2 for for the singles, and we will move one of the cameras over to court 5. We'll get you some action on court 5, or actually we'll do court 4 today. We haven't had a lot of court 4 action so far for you this year, so we'll move it on over to that side as they get ready to kick off in the next few minutes. The court 3 camera, again, kind of hard to see it from where we're at, so that's why we're going to go with that and elect to go on to court 4 for what's coming up next. So we do now have a chance to take a look at the tennis standings. We're trying to pull them up for you as we speak. While the teams are getting ready, and then we'll kick it back over just to the action. I'm out here making sure we get some photos of the athletes as well for today's matchup. So as we look at the standings, the Eagles are in fact in 4th place. Wilmington 4-1, Chestnut Hill 4-1, Jefferson 4-1, Post 3-3, Goldie Beacom 1-5, Dominican 0-5. So the Eagles only have 2 games on both of those teams, but again, keep in mind against Goldie Beacom, they do have the head-to-head tiebreaker 2-0 on the year. Again, though, those 3 losses for the Eagles have been to Jefferson, Chestnut Hill, and Wilmington. 2 wins against Goldie Beacom. Again, win against Dominican. Need to try and get the second win against Dominican here. You don't want to fall down in the standings and give Dominican their first conference win of the season. We're going to get ready for the singles here in a little while. It looks like Nina Langenfeld is walking on to courts 4 or 5. It looks like it'll be court 4. On court number 1, it looks like it'll be... this double matchups are still over there, so nothing has changed there. So Langenfeld is on court 4. We're looking at that right now. All the teams still huddled up, so we don't have official confirmation on where everybody is. Didn't get a chance to look at the scorebook before today's match. But that's what we're looking at right now in terms of what's on the courts. It looks like Megan Lombard's going to be on court number 2. Oceane Malvery, it looks like on court 3. Again, they only have 7 today, and Cedrine Adams is the 7. She's only played once this year in a non-conference. So how it's been usually going is Dacchio will play in the 6, and I think Dacchio will probably be playing in the 6 today. Rasignola will be on court number 1. Lombard court 2. Malvery court 3. Langenfeld court 4. And Gonzalez Ramos will head to court number 5. So those will be your singles matchups, singles locations for your Eagles. We're going to put the court 3 camera onto court 4 and get you some of Nina Langenfeld's action today, as well as switch between courts 1 and 2, and then we'll kick it over to court 3 if we have a chance later on. And of course, we'll have the 6 matchup. We'll be here until the very end of the day no matter what we can get on the stream. Again, weather holding up right now, stream holding up right now, and we'll continue to bring you the live action throughout the afternoon in today's conference matchup. All right, live back here, and the Eagles in quite the dogfight right now on all 5 courts. They did take the first set. Nina Langenfeld did 6-0 on court 4. You're watching that one live, and she's currently trailing 2-1 in set 2. Talia Gonzalez-Ramos on court 5 dropped set 1, and now she leads set 2 1-0. Over on court 1, it's 5-4 in favor of Dominican Michaela Rosignolo there, and it's 5-5 on court 2 with Megan Lombard. Ocean Malvery won her first set, so she's up 1-0 on court 3. So right now the Eagles leading 1-0 in 2 of the 5 matchups, still battling in set number 1 on the other 2, and trail on the 5th one. So that's what we're looking at right now. Again, if all these were to, well, I should say if all these were to hold, the Eagles would be tied at 2-2, and then you have 2 toss-ups, and then you potentially have a final matchup that would decide everything in the 6th, which looks to be Julia Dacchio. That one, we do have the final scores from the doubles matches earlier. Rosignolo and Gonzalez-Ramos in the doubles 1 fell to Pasha Men and Selena Donaker 6-3. Angelina Amelkina and Leah Cervaldez defeated Megan Lombard and Nina Langenfeld at 6-2, and then Julia Dacchio and Ocean Malvery winning 6-2 over Vanya Tiogi and Prita Coley. It's Rosignolo versus Men on court 1, Lombard versus Amelkina court 2, Malvery versus Donaker on court 3, Langenfeld versus Tiagi on court 4, Gonzalez-Ramos versus Coley, and then in the final one it'll be Dacchio versus Sergelvlaz. So that's what we're looking at right now. Again, all these are super, super close. Nothing going to be decided anytime soon in terms of who's going to take this, because as it stands, the Eagles trailing in a couple of these. And the big swing one right now, if I had to guess, would be that court number 1, Rosignolo tied at 5-all. Because it looks like the Eagles may have at least 2 locked up singles right now, but they're going to need at least a third to make it so that the Dacchio match could potentially give them the victory. Or they can potentially take 4 out of the first 5, and then they would clinch the win right there. It all depends on how they can go about this, as they again do trail on a few of these courts right now, or even in the first set. So still lots to decide, but that's your kind of quick update around everything right now as we continue to roll here from the Edgewood Bath and Tennis Club. Eagles taking on Dominican from New York, and again, keep in mind we do have volleyball coming up at 6 o'clock this evening. Damon University coming to town to take on your Eagles in that one as they look to try and snap a 5-game losing streak. You continue to watch Nina Langenfeld. She's up 3-2. We're keeping it on that one for today's game just because we don't get too much court 4 action. So right now she leads 3-2. Natalia Gonzalez Ramos is winning in set number 2, 3-0 on court 5. Gets another point right there. Megan Lombard lost set number 1. I believe the final on that one was 7-6. And Michaela Rossignolo is currently up 6-5. Oceane Malvere on court number 3, leading 3-0 in her second set after winning set number 1. So right now, again, Eagles trailing in 2 of the 5 matches going on the court. Rossignolo, it still remains to be seen if she wins set 1. The Eagles, though, could find themselves down 1 set in 3 matches, though, depending on how that one closes out, which would be huge because, keep in mind, Dominican only needs 3 wins in the singles to win this match. And at times, you're seeing the frustration from the Eagles boil over with some of their players, something I haven't seen too much from opponents this year when they miss their shots. It seems to be something that has occurred with a few of the Eagle players during this match and during a couple of the other matches when they get down and out. But they're making a good comeback here in terms of on courts where they were behind early on. And we're seeing that right now with Gonzalez Ramos on court number 5 against Preeti Kohli. And the interesting thing about in watching that matchup, which you cannot see on your screen right now because we do not have 4 cameras here today. You're watching Langenfeld right now as well as Rossignolo. But you can see the adjustments that Gonzalez Ramos has made here in set number 2. It's primarily, it's been relatively simple. And as someone who doesn't really know the game of tennis all too well, even I was able to pick up on this in that Kohli seems to not be able to get to the backhand. She's really strong on her forehand, and Gonzalez Ramos has forced her a lot of times to the backhand now. And when she's doing that, Kohli's not able to respond with as much of a powerful shot as she does on that forehand, which allows Gonzalez Ramos to easily get points because those high balls coming back with the backhand from Kohli are allowing Gonzalez Ramos to use her power on the forehand. It's just something that I picked up, and I believe Coach Rob Howard picked up on as well. There she goes right to the same spot off screen. She just did it again, went to the backhanded spot and was able to get into a spot where Kohli couldn't even hit it. So a little bit of an adjustment there could help Gonzalez Ramos potentially get back into this match and win. But again, across the other ones right now, we're still waiting winners. We're keeping it on Langenfeld since she's the closest right now, but we are seeing a bit of a comeback here, and this could be a big swing match for Gonzalez Ramos because, again, if you can take 4 out of these first 5, you're in good shape. But you also don't know how Rossignolo is going to fare over on her matchup as she currently is still in a dogfight in set number 1, 6-5. Nothing changing there. Megan Lombard getting set to go on court number 2. She trails 1-0 in that one, obviously, overall. And then Oceane is on the verge of a win for the Eagles, their first of the day. She's up 4-1 on court 3, which is where Dakio would go for the next matchup. So it remains to be seen if that happens. Which one will finish up first, but you're going to continue to get to see Langenfeld play on court number 4 till that matchup's end, then we'll switch to another one. But that's what we got for now. We appreciate everybody who's joining us today for this matchup. And again, we want to give a shout out in case she's watching now, in case she wasn't watching earlier, the team wishing CC D'Souza well and saying that they miss her and wanted me to make sure I said that to make sure that she's watching today's stream. But we'll go back to silence, continuing to watch on court number 4 and continuing to watch on court number 1 in the corner of the screen, and then we'll switch it up when we get a chance to. got her first singles final now, and that goes to Oceane Mlavra. She takes her match on court 3 in straight sets. Eagles tie up today's match at 1-all. And then as we look, you're still watching Langenfeld. It is still 3-2 there. Beautiful hit over. Now she's going to see if she can finish the job. Oh, right into the net. And she kind of looks over like, whoopsies. She's in good shape right now. And then I believe Rossignolo is still battling. 6-5 in that one, and then she goes long on there. She's frustrated. Walks off to the side, and this is what I was talking about a little while ago. It seems that when the Eagles are missing their shots and they fall behind or something's not going their way, they seem to be showing a lot more emotion than we've seen from Dominican. And we've seen this across the last few matchups, and Rossignolo now talking to the ref, actually. You got to be careful when you do that as well, just because of point penalties, which the Eagles have been fortunate not to get yet, but they did get a warning. Rossignolo, actually a few games back, did get a warning for cursing in a foreign language. Was not awarded a point penalties. Did not happen again. And Gonzalez Ramos right now going back and forth with Coley on court 5. It was a great finish there. Just volleying back and forth right at the net. Langenfeld up 5-2 now. She looks to close that one out and get the Eagles up 2-1 overall. Diacchio will start on court 3 shortly. Lombard trails 1-0 on court 1. And then, like I said, Rossignolo, they're still going at it. I believe they might be in a tiebreaker now because they did just go and sit back down. So we'll wait and see. I'm trying to see if the ITA official is going to change something. Doesn't look like it. 4-1 Gonzalez Ramos on court 5. She's making a comeback against Coley, and like I said, I think a big part of that was the adjustment to go to her backhand because Coley seems to struggle with the backhand, and that's been the difference maker. Gonzalez Ramos in a lot of the situations in set 1 was attacking to the forehand, and Coley has a strong forehand, but her backhand she struggles to get across with the same amount of power. So we're going to watch this matchup potentially close out. We'll switch you over to Lombard's matchup and also get you some Gonzalez Ramos action, as well as court 4 will be completely empty after this is over, now that the single 6 will be starting over on another court, on court 3. We'll get a bit of warm-up time as well before that matchup kicks off. And again, that one could mean the difference between a win and a loss today for the Eagles in any sense of the word, because it is the final matchup of the day, and right 2-1. Excuse me, 1-1 in favor of the Eagles. Langenfeld on the verge of giving the Eagles a 2-1 lead here. That one went just out. Looking over Rossignolo, it still says 6-5 over there. Again, you play to 6, but when it's that score, you have the potential for a tiebreaker, and that's where they were at, it looks like. See if Langenfeld can finish the job right here. We'll keep it with you. Again, appreciate everybody watching here on YouTube and on the CACC network. So far, so good in terms of the stream not going down or doing anything crazy so far. But we'll see if that maintains, as we've been on for about 2 hours now and haven't had too many issues. We look back over to court 5 as there's Langenfeld. It looks like that one was out, so it'd be, I believe that was the second serve, so a point for them. Point for the Eagles, excuse me. And Rossignolo loses set 1. So Rossignolo lost set 1, I'm guessing 7-6, because the score was 6-5. They went and sat down, then she came back out, and we just saw them flip the cards. So that's a big one there. Lombard currently trails 1-0 in sets overall. It's 1-1 in set number 2. Like I said, Langenfeld trying to put the Eagles in front 2-1, but right now the Eagles have some work to do. They are trailing on 3 courts by a set. If they want to get back into this match, they're going to have to flip one of those at the minimum, because if they can flip at least one of them, that puts us in a position where it'll be 3-3, and it could just be Julia Diacchio's matchup then that we're watching to decide today's winner. About just under 2 hours into this one in general, and The Eagles, like I said, lost the doubles point, so they're trailing. They trailed 1-0 coming into this, but they won one of the singles, and that's it. Langenfeld gets the win, and it is now 2-1 Eagles. Gonzalez Ramos, we'll switch over to that one in a minute. She's up 5-1 in set number 2, so she's made a comeback in set number 2, looking to tie it up at 1-1. Again, that's going to be a big swing one right now. We got to watch these ones for a potential swing in favor of the Eagles because they currently are losing on 3 different courts, which would give Dominican the win if they are able to win the 2 sets in the singles. But for now, we'll switch it on over to Gonzalez Ramos's game. Move the camera over there momentarily. You'll continue to watch Wrestling UL, and we'll maybe switch over to Lombard's game as well, as that one continues to go back and forth in set number 2. So as we look across the board right now, Michaela Rosagnola trails in set number 2, 2-1. Megan Lombard trails in set number 2, 3-2. They both lost set number 1. Nina Langenfeld already won for the Eagles, so did Oceane Malvery, which puts the Eagles in a spot where they're currently up 2-1. You're currently watching Natalia Gonzalez-Ramos duke it out on court number 5 in the singles 5. She came back and won set number 2, and now here's set number 3 for you. As we'll switch between that one and Lombard's, and eventually get you over to Dakio's. Dakio currently leads 1-0 in set number 1 of that one. That just got underway, and that's a big one. As it stands right now, this one right here that you're looking at has the potential for being a game decider, but so does Dakio's if everything were to hold. At this current rate, the Eagles need to just win 2 of the last 4 singles out there. They currently trail in 2 of those 4, and this one right here is a 1-1 draw right now, coming down to set number 3. And another reason why I wanted to put it over here is something I was telling you about earlier with the backhand of Gonzalez-Ramos' opponent in Coley. If you watch it, Gonzalez-Ramos is a beautiful tap over right there. I mean, there's nothing that Coley could even do about that one. Just a beautiful low ball that she was able to get over and hit in no man's land, really. But the big thing you'll see, probably on this attempt, is where Gonzalez-Ramos is hitting the ball. So watch when she hits it. She obviously has to directly into the opposite box towards Coley, but watch when she hits it after that. There's that forehand from Coley. That was out, so they'll do it again, but watch the forehand from Coley. And watch how Gonzalez-Ramos tries to strategically place her shot to get to the forehand of Coley. Excuse me, the backhand of Coley. So here you go. Gonzalez-Ramos now trying to feel her out and find the spot. Right here is where she's going to go for it. She's going to go right pretty much every time if she can. But she's not able to get it just because of the location Coley's putting the ball. Seems like Coley made some adjustments from set 2 to 3 as well, because you're not really seeing it on this rally. And that one just a little bit too long for Gonzalez-Ramos. Look over, Dakio leading 2-1 now. Lombard tied 3-3 again, though. And in the singles 1 and 2 right now, the Eagles trail 1 set to nothing. So it's not just job finished if they win this set. They got to win another one. Gonzalez-Ramos, which is why we have it on this one right now, is the big one. This could be a potential swing match. Eagles leading 2-1 after 2 singles have finished up. 4 more still to be played, including Gonzalez-Ramos, Lombard, Rosagnola, and Dakio. A much closer game than the Eagles had against Dominican, where they pretty much took care of business in the singles. And were able to get that doubles point, but the doubles point swing the other way without CC D'Souza is Gonzalez-Ramos unable to place her shot there. Again, like I said, sometimes when the emotion gets the best of the Eagles, that is sometimes when they start to falter down the stretch. And Coley, if she strings a few points together here and is able to get in Gonzalez-Ramos' head, it could spell trouble for the Eagles on court number 5. But we'll see how things play out in terms of, can Coley string together some shots? And if she does, can Gonzalez-Ramos keep her composure and keep playing the game she played in set number 2? Seems like there's something going on court 1. You could just hear Rosagnola from over here. Not quite sure what the issue is. It looks like Rosagnola is not happy with the spectator from the Chargers team potentially saying something during the serves. I haven't heard anything. I mean, they're right to my left. I have not heard anything during play that would constitute needing to move. Again, we're trying to keep our voice down, being on the air right in front of a few matches going on where we're set up. to ensure that nobody is distracted by what we're doing and saying here. So the ITA official did end up moving the Charger spectator because they were a player, not a coach or an admin. Essentially, they want to keep the players away from the area in which a game is going on to avoid any sort of, I guess, unsportsmanlike behavior of any sorts or just distractions of any sorts. Which is, again, why we're kind of in the center alley of everything and trying to keep it down a little bit to avoid any distractions on our end. Is starting to feel some raindrops here. We're going to keep an eye on that because if it does start to rain, we will have to shut things down as our equipment, other than the cameras are not exposed. But unfortunately, the laptop and a few other things are exposed. And if it starts to rain, we cannot afford to have stuff getting wet. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's just a few drops here and there, nothing too major right now. But if that rain continues to pick up, we will have to go off the air due to the weather. Matches will probably continue to play as well, as long as it doesn't start to pour. Once the grounds get too saturated for play, not only do you run into the issue of players potentially slipping and falling and getting injured, the ball is just going to get bogged down with water. Given how it is, obviously, what its makeup is. So with that in mind, it's just something to keep an eye out for. Gonzalez Ramos currently trailing 2-1 in that second set. Eagles across the board trailing right now on 3 courts, and that's big because that could again be the difference between a win and a loss today. The Chargers looking to try and close out singles 1 and 2. And then after Coley lost set number 2, is looking to come back and win set 3 after winning set 1 to defeat Gonzalez Ramos. If all these scores were to hold as they are right now, the Dominican would get the 4 necessary wins to win today's match, regardless of Dacchio's matchup. If one swings, it could come down to Dacchio, as we're starting to get a little bit more steady with the rain here. Again, we're going to try and keep it live for as long as possible, but we do need to keep in mind the weather could prevent us from continuing to not only continue to play, but definitely not allow us to continue streaming. Recovering things the best we can. For the most part, most things are covered, quite frankly. But there's just 1 or 2 things where we cannot afford to allow them to be continuously exposed to the rain, as we're starting to get a little bit of a lighter rain here coming down. Play has been suspended. ITA official has just said the play has been suspended as the rain continues to come down a little bit harder. With that, we're going to go off the air. And we'll probably be, if I had to guess, done for the day in terms of for the streaming side of things. We may get a final later on, but we will eventually have to head over to volleyball, and there's no telling how long play could be suspended for. If this is just a light rain shower, then it could be relatively quick. However, if it's something that lasts longer, we could be calling it quits for the day. Again, rain was in the forecast. We started play around 2. Things have been good up until now. It's really not coming down too steady. It's coming down very, very lightly, and now it's actually kind of slowed down to just a slight trickle. But everything is suspended right now. Dacchio leading 2-1. Lombard trailing 4-3 in set 2 after trailing 1-0 overall. Rossignolo trailing 3-2 after losing set 1, 1-0. Gonzalez Ramos trailing 2-1, and again, that one's in set 3. So, like I've mentioned, if everything stands as is, this would be a win for Dominican, but there's still stuff to be decided. We're suspended right now in terms of play. We're going to keep it with you, as it seems like the rain has, again, gone down to just a couple drops here and there, but for the time being, that's where we stand on everything. We're going to just try and move some stuff around to help get some more coverage, but we'll keep it with you here. You're just kind of looking at an empty court because we are suspended right now. Play has been suspended by the ITA official due to the light rain that has come in, but it looks like we're getting a radar check too. Gene Geyser over there looking at the radar with somebody, it looks like. So we're going to just mute the mic for a little while, play suspended for the time being, but it seems like the rain has already stopped coming down as quick as it started. It got steady for about a half a minute, and that's why I was saying we might have to stop playing, stop streaming. But right now we're looking like we're going to continue with the stream until something is decided on how this is going to play out, because there's the potential we need to head over to volleyball as well, which will be starting at 6 o'clock. But for right now, we are currently suspended. So a lot has happened in the last about minute and a half. I went to take a quick bathroom break. As quickly as play got suspended, it resumed pretty quickly. Again, Rossignol trailing 3-2, Lombard trailing 4-3, and then it's Gonzalez Ramos trailing 2-1. Again, those are deciding matches right now. And we just had an argument on court number 3. Dacchio and her opponent seemed to be trying to figure out the score. The ITA official got involved. And then I just heard Rob Howard talking with the ITA official, and he didn't seem too happy with the official. And after Dacchio just scored a point, the men's tennis team erupted. Rob Howard pointed at the ITA official and said something to him. He's pretty heated right now about whatever just went down. Again, Dacchio leads them in 2-1. And, I mean, rightfully so, because that could be the one match that decides today's game. If Gonzalez Ramos wins the one that you're watching right now, and the Eagles fall on the other two that they're trailing 1-0 in their sets to, Dacchio's matchup is the one that decides this entire day. And so, with good reason, Rob Howard upset with whatever was happening over on court number 3. And then Julia Dacchio gets the point back. If I had to guess what the discrepancy was about, and again, we don't want to speculate that that's what it was, but my guess is because play was suspended when we went to that brief break for about 5-10 minutes, I'm guessing when the teams came back to the court, essentially they were trying, that looks like it's it actually before I explained that. Yep, that's going to be it. Megan Lombard just lost, so now it's 2-2 on the overall score. But again, don't want to speculate, but what it seems like to me was after play was suspended, they both came back and were trying to figure out what the score was. And when I was walking back from the angle I had from the tennis club up top to use the restroom, I saw Dacchio going back and forth with her opponent. We have the names of the matchups as well, so we'll get that for you. It was Sargel Lad. So she was in that matchup over there, and they were going back and forth, I think, deciding what the score was. We saw it earlier with Rossignolo on her court, going back and forth with her opponent, but that was more of a, no, I hit it on the backhand, that was my point, then you had this point, and then they came to an agreement on it. Dacchio was going back and forth with Sir Gelvez for a solid minute until I walked over here, and then Rob Howard was over there talking to the ITA official. Play resumed. Dacchio gets a point. Men's tennis team erupts. Howard says something to the ITA official. He was clearly not happy with him. See if we can get clarification on that. We may not be able to, but as it stands right now, we have 3 more singles going on, and it is 2-2. So, again, as it stands, Eagles on the verge of just losing this in general, but this is not over by any means. But again, if these scores were to hold, as I'm looking at the score getting changed, Rossignolo on court number 1 trails 4-3 in set number 2. We'll get you over to court number 3 as well. We're going to try and get the best angle possible for that as a picture-in-picture potentially. But you are currently watching Gonzalez Ramos in what is a big matchup right here. And now we're looking. It's 3-2 in favor of Coley. Again, deciding one there. Big swing match on the course given how everything else is transpiring right now. Rossignolo gonna need a comeback win to help the Eagles out. And then Gonzalez Ramos or Dacchio will have to finish the job. Again, it is 2-2 all. So the Eagles need to swing 2 wins in these last 3. Rossignolo trails in set 2. Dacchio now trails 3-2 in set 1. And Coley trails 3-2 in set 3. So not looking good right now for the Eagles because, again, if all these scores were to hold, that would be it. Final score would be 5-2 in favor of Dominican, a reversal of what we had on the road earlier this year. But remain here. Looks like we'll be able to get this entire match streamed for you as long as the weather continues to hold up. A little bit of a concern with that rain earlier that we would have to stop short because without knowing how long play is suspended for and other events going on tonight, we want to make sure we're covering all the action that we need to. We'll go silent again for a little while here at the Edgewood Bath and Tennis Club. Eagles tied up at 2-all, and this is really where it comes down to who needs it more, which right now the Eagles really do to kind of continue their winning ways after going on that 4-game skid, trying to get back into it. You see Gonzalez Ramos and Coley going back and forth for the point, just out for Gonzalez Ramos as we continue here. So Rosignolo on court number 1, currently trailing 5-4 in set 2 again. She lost set 1. That's a big one. That would put Dominican back in front 3-2. On court number 3, Dakio in the single 6, currently trailing 5-2 in set 1. So as it stands for the Eagles, they need, like I said, they need a couple. They've only got 2 singles win. They lost the doubles point. Lombard lost. Langenfeld won. And Malavra won as well. So it's 2-2 right now. And the Eagles need 2 more, and they're running out of room for error on all 3 courts. The big problem right now is Dakio, like I said, trailing 5-2, and then Rosignolo is on the verge of defeat. So we'll actually just flip to that one for you. It's 5-4 right now. And that one's out again. Rosignolo inching closer to that final point. And again, like I mentioned, that would make it 3-2 Dominican. Need to swing 2 here. Rosignolo could potentially force the 3rd set if she can get back into it. Gonzalez Ramos is in a fight to try and win this one, which would give the Eagles their 3rd point, but they need 2 more. And frustration's just boiling over a little here, a little while over here in front of us on court number 5. As Gonzalez Ramos just lost the point and hammered a ball into the net, into the cage, and right in front of us. She's trailing 4-3. And I think she's been dealing with, it looks like, some lower back pain as the athletic trainer going out to check on her. That we saw them out there earlier. I don't remember if we were live on that camera when it happened, but Gonzalez Ramos was getting treated with her lower back. It seems to be bugging her. Looks like it's just tightness, and athletic trainers for post trying to just get her to loosen up a little bit, it looks like. But this is a pivotal moment in that game over there because it could potentially be the difference between a win and a loss overall. But again, the Eagles need 2 more. Rosignolo still trying to fight. Can she force a tiebreaker on court number 1? And now we've got something going on at court 1. Folks, this has been the most action we've seen for a tennis match so far this year in terms of just like everything going on. We did find out a little more information about what happened on court 3 between Rob Howard and the ITA official over there. Apparently, from the sounds of it, it was the Dominican head coach telling Coach Howard that he wasn't allowed to talk to the umpire, and which is well within the coach's right to do during a match. And now we've got an argument on court 1. Chargers number 1 over there talking, and their head coach talking with the ITA official. Now the ITA official is over there watching the game. He was just over on court number 5 because Gonzalez Ramos is dealing with a back issue after just having to also be on court 3 dealing with the little bit of a back and forth that was going on. And folks, I mean, this is pivotal right now. Again, Dominican's 0-5 in conference play right now and 0-5 overall, looking to potentially get their first win of the year here. And I mean, they're on the verge of being able to do it too, as that's another point in favor of the Chargers in this set that really matters. I mean, this is the most commentary we've done live too as well for women's tennis so far, because typically we're able to just kind of watch the matches play out, but there's been a lot of things going on in this matchup, which is about 2.5 hours old. We've had a play suspended briefly because of rain. It rained a little while ago again, but very, very lightly. We were able to keep things pretty much dry. And now we're just looking at these matchups just kind of going back and forth as I'm currently watching Gonzalez Ramos on court 5 battle back and forth in this point. They just came back out after Gonzalez Ramos got her back treated again, as that one comes in there and Gonzalez Ramos gets a point. But let's keep an eye on court 1 as Rossignolo placed out in perfect, you see. Again, they have a lot of work to do on court one if they want to take that one. It's far from over. They need to take this set and then take the next. That's Bipasha Men on court one taking on Rossignolo. Again, Lombard's already lost. Doubles point went in favor of Dominican. And they just called it. I heard the ITA official say, correction, the ball is dead. Rossignolo is not happy. And now Dominican is on the verge of winning this entire match. We're going to head over to court number 5. We're on court number 5 now, watching Gonzalez Ramos. This is the swing one right now. She trails 4-3. This could be it for the Eagles if they're not able to steal this one back. And then, of course, you have the one Gonzalez Ramos holding her back again after that point. Dacchio still 5-2 over there. Again, 2 matches in progress still. Eagles need to take both of them if they want to win today's match. We'll go dead for a little while and we'll be back shortly with some more updates. All right, folks, so you can see on our screen, we will take you over to court 3 shortly, but we are in a heated matchup right now. This one potentially makes the Julia Dacchio matchup not matter at all. And that's the big thing. Oh, Gonzalez Ramos just couldn't get there. I mean, Coley placed that ball perfectly. There was nothing she could do about that, but she used all of her strength to get over to that. And if the Eagles can pull this one off, as Coley placed that one perfectly, but Gonzalez Ramos gets over and just gets it inside the line. Gonzalez Ramos, a spirited comeback. Keep in mind, I mentioned it before, dealing with the backhander, that one's out. You know, if you're Ramos right now, you're getting some good shots on Coley, and don't get too discouraged. Don't let Coley get into your head with some of these points. You're up 5-4. You have a chance to close this out. Make the Dacchio one a winner-takes-all game. It is 5-4 Eagles on this one. 1-1 in the sets overall. Again, the Eagles took 2 singles. Dominican took 2 singles and the doubles point right now. So it comes down to these last 2. The Eagles backs against the wall, trying to get the win here. I mean, if they can squeak this one out, it's not going to be a pretty win. That's for sure, especially how they really took care of business against the Chargers earlier in the year. But man, is it a big win if you can get it. And Gonzalez Ramos gets the point there. We're going to keep it here for this last little bit. The Dacchio set 2 is about to get underway, and the closer we inch towards potentially this game going to Gonzalez Ramos, that match over on court 3 will be your deciding matchup of the day if this holds right here. And Dacchio did have a good start, was up 1-0, but then I believe lost that one 6-2 in set 1. Again, we're not going to have the best camera angle, unfortunately, for that match, but we'll get you what we can of that. Unfortunately, we'd have a much better angle if Langenfeld's game had finished up just a tad earlier, but that's the way it goes here. Gonzalez Ramos, what a move. Oh, beautiful, beautiful ball. It just gets over the net. She finds a way to get it done there. This has been the closest match so far this year for the Eagles at home in terms of just like it coming down to the wire. I mean, they had a 4-3 loss earlier this year to start the year. I believe it was against Assumption, but that Assumption loss was not close in terms of like it coming down to something like this that we're seeing right now in a 5-4 match, 1 set apiece. Those were all, I believe, 2-0 finishes, and Gonzalez Ramos does it. What a beautiful finish there, and she comes from behind to take a big singles 5 win. She was frustrated a lot of the time. She showed a lot of emotion in this one. Her back was killing her at times, and she pulls it off. So now all eyes go to court 3. That will decide today's match. It is 3-3 post in Dominican. Julia Dacchio trails 1-0. Does she have a comeback in her to win the single 6 and give the Eagles a 4-3 win? Everybody heading over to court 3 to watch and cheer that one on. We're going to switch cameras over to 3. Again, you can't really see everything, but you can see a good majority of the court. You're going to see the players filing over there. They're going to have to switch sides every time the players switch sides. We're going to go dead for a little bit as we clean up a little bit more of the equipment to try and just speed things up for after the games are over. But we're looking at what I mentioned earlier. It could come all down to this matchup with Dacchio, and it sure is now. And we're going to make sure we stick it here to continue streaming this entire finish, because after what we just witnessed on court 5, wow, what a gutsy performance by Gonzalez Ramos to pull that one out. And keep in mind, coming up at 6 o'clock, women's volleyball will be streaming live against Damon University. You can again catch that one right here on YouTube and on the CACC network. And tomorrow we have men's soccer at 1 o'clock versus Southern Connecticut. I'll be on the call for that one as the Owls come to town. It's not looking like the greatest weather day, which has been the case for most soccer games this year at post, but we'll have some fun with that. May have somebody on color as well coming in for the afternoon, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We're watching an intense finish, and again, yeah, you're not going to be able to see too much in the way of the action just because of where players are standing, but we'll see what we can get here for the most part in this one as they're going to switch sides. Again, it depends. If the players sit down, you're going to be able to see more of the court. If they stand up, you're going to have a little bit more trouble. And the majority of the time, it looks like Dominican isn't even out there. So, no, Dominican is now out there. So we'll see where they kind of set themselves up. You can see more of the left side of your screen, the court, than you can the right. Dominican is going to push themselves a little bit farther back, which does help the camera angle and kind of sit around. All eyes on this matchup, though, because this one's going to be what decides the day. But for now, we're going to continue to just keep it here, clean up some stuff. We'll be back with you shortly with a score update. As we approach the 3-hour mark here, sorry for the technical difficulties on the camera just now. It seems like we have a little bit of a loose cable that we were able to kind of get back up. So here we are, final match of the day. It decides it all. If you've just joined us, it's 3-3 Dominican in post. Julia Dacchio for the Eagles, trying to pull off the comeback win. I cannot see the score right now because Gene Geyser's my line of sight of it. It's 2-1 Eagles in set 2, but they did lose set 1. So Dacchio looking to pull an Natalia Gonzalez-Ramos and come back from down a set and win this, and gave the Eagles a close 4-3 victory. Again, apologize that the angle's not the best. Court 3 is the hardest one to get just from where we are, and in fact, I was just looking at ways we could potentially get it down to court 3, but there's spectators in the line where I would ideally set up everything to try and get court 3 better, so I can't exactly move everything down into their line of fire just because of where everybody's sitting, and I want to respect their seating as well as spectators. So we're going to keep it right where we are now. 2-1 Dacchio, set number 2, trailing 1-0. Again, Eagles lost 2 of the singles, have won 3 so far. Lost the doubles point. That's been the difference maker. Again, they're also without CC D'Souza today, who, if you're tuning in right now, again, your teammates miss you, and we've got 2 people watching right now as we speak. So thank you for joining in throughout this afternoon as you're kind of seeing us wind down here. About an hour away, too, from volleyball kicking off over at the Drubner Center. Like I mentioned before, Southern Connecticut come to town tomorrow for men's soccer. And next week we have another post-invitational golf tournament coming up. We had the CACC Championships this past week, and we're not going to obviously be able to stream that because they're all over the court, although they're all over the course, but we were talking about fun ways to try and get content live stream, but unfortunately it would just not work without a power source. But nonetheless, we floating some ideas around, and if you don't follow us on our social media accounts, be sure to do that at Go Post Eagles across all platforms. And for the latest scheduling updates, be sure to check out our athletic website as well. Again, didn't look like it initially with the forecast that we were going to be able to get this one in, but we've been able to. We had a short suspension of play. I mean, we've seen it all, and I mentioned it before, but we have seen a lot of different things today in terms of just everything going on. And the day started with some rain. We had a little bit of a back and forth between Michaela Rosignolo and the ITA official about removing one of the Chargers players from near the fence area. And then after the end of the match, another kind of back and forth between them. We had a back and forth between both head coaches, and then Rob Howard and the ITA official. We had a suspension of play for a little while. Julia Dacchio and her singles was talking with her opponent as well. When play resumed. So just a lot of stuff, and no one anticipated, I don't think, coming into this day that this game would be as close, just because it was 5-2 in favor of the Eagles last time they faced off. And now we're seeing it boil down to this match, which is the first time we've seen this year, and the first time when we've live streamed that this has happened. So this is the first time you're seeing a match come down to this its final game in program history live. We have not been able to do this before today. Before this year. And now we're bringing you the live tennis action. And everything's held up well on our end in terms of the equipment, which is always a positive. And just past 5 o'clock here. Lights have been on all day because it is cloudy out. We still got a 2-1 score in favor of Dacchio. They're not flipping it in real time. The ITA official is over there. It's the only matchup going on, so of course, the official will be there to check on everything, and you only hope, too, as well, that they can get this match in, because the last thing you want is for it to start to pour or something and then completely wipe out this match, which, as we I'm looking at the radar as we speak, and there is a storm to our west, but it is moving north will not impact this area. There are a few pop-up showers that are anticipated to potentially, actually looking at the radar before, that's what we saw come through, a few little pop-up showers. And then on Futurecast right now, we look clear the rest of the way. The majority of the rain is going to be coming in tomorrow, which will put a damper on tomorrow's game. And all next weekend's looking like more rain as well. So we haven't been able to have a nice weekend here at Post in a while, and temperatures will start to drop as we get into the later part of the month until upper 50s, low 60s. As we watch this right now, too, kind of going based off the cheering, who's leading. I mean, at one end you hear the Eagles cheering, and then you hear you hear Dominican cheering. Really hard to tell who's actually in front because they do go from, the 15, 30, and then 40. So you really don't get a sense of what's going on until that card is flipped. And right now, Dakio is leading 3-2. So after 2 more points, Dakio up 3-2. And we'll look to take the second set. So we're back and getting ready to get underway here with the next point. I'm currently laying on the asphalt underneath the windscreen to see what's going on. You're seeing it from a wider angle than obviously we would probably like to have, but it's better than nothing. And that's the important thing. Right now, Dakio just getting the first point right there. The entire team on the sideline watching her. If Dakio is able to force a 6th set, we will, get to 6 points and force a 3rd set. We will have that one for you here. We have coverage over at women's volleyball as well to make sure that all that goes smoothly for today's matchup against Damon. We'll make sure we close this one out with you, as that's going to be the Chargers right there, I believe, if I have my scoring correct, because I'm going to try and keep you guys up to date live as this goes on, just because it is such a critical finish down the stretch to not have any idea what's going on. And I believe we currently have a 15-15 score, as Dakio got the first point and then just missed there and then went to serve and served in the net. You get 2 serves on every attempt, and on the second serve, if you fail, point for your opponent. Dakio gets it over, though, that time. Unable to get there to that one, so 30-15. Again, if this is your first time joining us for a women's tennis matchup, appreciate you joining us, and we do have a couple more games coming up that will be all streamed. We're hoping to get all of them streamed. Believe our next one is next Friday against AIC. That one will go off without a hitch, as that'll be our only home matchup. And then the week after that, on the 17th against Chestnut Hill, will be Senior Day. OCN Malavra is the one person who will be honored. I believe they will be honoring Cici D'Souza and Julia Dakio as well. They honored them last year, but they'll honor them a little bit differently, obviously, than last year, and then honor OC in the way that they did for the 2 seniors last year. We'll try and stream that one for you as well. We do have 2 soccer games that day, back-to-back, so that's why we're not 100% sure if we'll be able to have full coverage. It may be It may be a situation where we only have 1 or 2 cameras covering instead of the 3. But we'll wait and see how things shape up and how we go about doing that as the date nears. That'll close out your regular season, and unless the Eagles are able to get a top 3, as Docchio not able to get that one over, unless the Eagles are able to clinch a top 3 seed, they will not have a first-round home game in the CACC tournament, and then the semis and finals, the semis and finals are just straight up in a neutral site, predetermined already before the start of the year, hence why your Eagles were able to host the golf championship for the 3rd straight year. CACC Women's Tennis Championship Tournament will be played on Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st in Del Castle Tennis Center in Wilmington, Delaware. So there's where they'll play. Later on this month actually. We're already nearing the end of the fall seasons. And here we go again with another back and forth. Dominican's coach talking to the ITA official, Julia Docchio, talking to the Dominican head coach. And then the Chargers player on the court also talking. I think to Docchio, it just seems like at times that everybody hasn't been on the same page as... I really can't figure out what all these discrepancies have been about today in terms of, trying to figure out what's going on. So I apologize for the incorrect description of the CACC Championship for women's tennis, as this is my first year working with the CACC team, previously with the LEC, and that worked a little bit different. As Docchio was just going to spike that one, and oh man, nice save there by the Chargers. Just going to try again now. Bangs that one home, and there's a point. And once again, we've got one of the Dominican coaches talking to the ITA official about what Docchio did there. And I don't even know what it could be possibly about at this point, because that looked like a fair game shot there from Docchio. I mean, if you're the Chargers, you really are fighting for your life, though, at the same time. So I understand it. You really need that win, because only the top 4 make it into the tournament. The 1 seed takes on the 4, 2 takes on 3, 5 and 6 are eliminated right now. At 0 and 5, Dominican would be on the outside looking in. So a win here puts them within 1 in the loss column of Post, who's in 4th place at 3 and 3. If the Eagles were to drop this one, they would fall to 3 and 4. Dominican improves to 1 and 5. Goldie Beacom is right in there too, in the 5th spot. But again, the Eagles own that tiebreaker. That's the big thing here too that you got to keep in mind down the stretch. You got 6 teams. You play them all twice, so you got 10 matchups to deal with. Goldie Beacom's at 1 and 5. Dominican could move to 1 and 5 today. be one out in the loss column against the Eagles, who would drop to 3 and 4. Another big point for Dacchio there, and let's look. They're going to switch sides, and they each take a point, so it's 4-3 Dacchio in set number 2. As it stands, the Eagles only have 4 matches remaining, and they're against the big dogs in the conference right now, Jefferson, Chestnut Hill, and Wilmington. And you lost those 3 the first time, so that's why this one's so pivotal right now, folks, because if things were to go the way they did the first time around, minus a win against Dominican, you're looking at the Eagles with what would be a 3-7 finish. A 3-7 finish would likely get them in conference. Again, this is assuming they lose out to the same teams that they lost to before, who are 4-1, Wilmington, Chestnut Hill, Jefferson. And that's not to say they're not going to be able to beat them in this next one. They very well could, but assuming that the results went the same way they did in the first go-around, the Eagles at 3-7 would be kind of backing themselves into the tournament, you would hope. But it would come down to what Goldie Beacom and Dominican do. Goldie Beacom's one win, obviously, against Dominican, who's 0-5. So to have 2 teams at 1-5, that Goldie Beacom-Dominican matchup means a lot, because then one team is going to move to at least 2-5 on the overall, assuming they don't have another game. I don't know their schedules off the top of my head, so assuming that they were the next to play each other, one of those would move to 2-5. If Post were to drop their next one, then you have them at 2-5, and you have everybody else right behind you, because you only have 3 wins. Which means if Goldie Beacom, in Goldie Beacom's case, they would have to steal 2 more, or 3 more. Eagles beating them both times this year. So they own the tiebreaker on there. With that in mind, Goldie Beacom can't tie Post. So if Goldie Beacom were to finish tied 3-7 with Post, if everything went down that way, if Goldie Beacom ties Post in any regards, it would be Post getting in just because of the head-to-head being 2-0 in favor of the Eagles. Dominican, I mean, pretty much with a loss today, a loss today would basically eliminate them, which is why this is so huge, because nice spike by Dacchio. What a save by the Chargers. She's running everywhere right now to get these ones, and she's going to get the point there. Dominican with a loss today would drop to 0-6. Post would move to 4-3, and being in that 4 spot with, in Post case, 3 matches remaining, all Dominican can do is win out and go to 4-6, which means all they could do is tie the Eagles, which means a loss today effectively. We're kind of getting the scenarios on the spot right here as we look at the standings and kind of get you through this last set, or 2 potentially. At 4-3, Dominican, at 4-3 Post with 3 matches left in conference play would just have to make sure that Goldie Beacom doesn't pass them, because at that point, and actually, as we kind of look at this here, Goldie Beacom, the only way they could pass them is if Goldie Beacom won out, gets to 5-5. And Post would have to lose their last 3 and drop to 4-6 because they own the tiebreaker against Goldie Beacom. So, as we've kind of formulated these here, Dominican eliminated with a loss from contention for the CACC tournament, which makes the stakes that much higher in this one. Post then on the verge of getting in as the 4 seed because they own the tiebreaker against Goldie Beacom 2-0. But they would need to either win their next match to ensure it, or next conference match, or see Goldie Beacom fall in their next conference match. Because if Goldie Beacom falls in the next conference match, they'd effectively fall to 1-6 and only could tie Post, and Post owns the head-to-head. As we look at Goldie Beacom's schedule, They will take on Wilmington, Delaware tomorrow. Excuse me, Wilmington tomorrow. Team from Delaware. Dacchio, another point there. So, the way Wilmington's been playing so far these last years, Wilmington is 4-1. Just lost their most recent matchup. To Jefferson, 5-2. Earlier this year, beat Goldie Beacom 7-0. So the Eagles are in good position where a win today puts them pretty much in and sets your 4 CACC teams for the tournament in a week and a half. Or 2 weeks, excuse me. Your 4-team tournament would be pretty much all but set, barring Goldie Beacom running the table and the Eagles going downward for the last few. But they got to take care of business here if they want that to come true. They cannot lose this game, or else then it opens the door for Dominican, and it does open the door for Goldie Beacom still to have a potential shot down the stretch. About less than an hour away as well from volleyball kicking off. That'll be on another live stream on YouTube, as this match has gone longer than anticipated today. Most of the matches lasting just about 3 hours. We're about three and a half hours deep almost, and we could be looking at a 4-hour match day, depending on how this one shapes up with Dacchio. If she wins set 2, we'll be heading to a tiebreaker third set, which they played a 6. So we may go off air for a little bit just to take a break. We'll still obviously have the game live and we'll give you some updates here and there, but we're keeping it with you now because this match could end right here, depending on how things shape up down the stretch. Momentum seems to be back on the Eagles' side, and it goes without saying that Gonzalez-Ramos matchup may be what swung things back in the Eagles' favor. And it would be interesting, especially if the Eagles win, to ask Julia Dacchio afterwards, did you even realize it boiled down to you? Because in a lot of cases, because of the way tennis is played, there's no scoreboard here. So no one knows what's going on except for the viewers at home and the players on the court who are off the court. Unless Coach Howard has told her specifically that, yeah, it comes down to you, then Dacchio could be playing out there not even knowing if her team has already won today's match or lost today's match, because she started pretty soon after the singles 3 finished, and there were still 5 other matches going on, so she may not know the results at all. I mean, she was warming up, which is why things have taken a little bit longer to get going, obviously, and finish up. But with that in mind, she may not even know what's going on right now unless the coaching staff or her players or teammates have let her know. And it's same for Dominican, but it would be a very interesting conversation if the Eagles pull this one out to talk to Natalia Gonzalez-Ramos and Julia Dacchio about. We talked to Julia Dacchio last match, but what it is like today, especially Gonzalez-Ramos battling with the back problem and getting help from the athletic trainer throughout the second and third set, both of which she won. But we got a big swing set here. Dacchio were to win it, you got to think this puts things in the Eagles' favor just because momentum has been on their side. Keep in mind, Gonzalez-Ramos' match was still going on when Dacchio was down 5-2 in set 1. And then Gonzalez-Ramos' match finished before set 2 kicked off, or just shortly after set 2 kicked off. And just like that, you saw a flip in terms of like where momentum was going. The Eagles all of a sudden were stealing points as Dacchio got back into it. Everybody's eyes on this matchup, including ours and including yours. It's both players just kind of going back and forth right now. As that one's in, and another point for Dominican. Both players have not switched sides yet. If I was guessing right now, I would assume with the way things are trending, they split points again. It doesn't seem, just how these volleys have gone back and forth in terms of points being scored, that either side has taken a full-on advantage. Which makes me think we're going to be seeing shortly a 5-4 on that board. Which means the Chargers would need to win 2 points there. Or at least one and push it to 6-5. Send it to a point where Dakkyo needs to win 7-5. We are a little bit farther out of harm's way in terms of where we're sitting with the broadcast, so we can be a little bit louder in terms of the speech, because you can't be too close to the course and have this going on. Is that one? It's going to be a point for the Chargers, so I believe they split again. But we'll see momentarily. Dogfight of an afternoon here in Middlebury. Again, Eagles without CC D'Souza today. Only were able to win one of the 3 doubles matches, which is why they didn't get the doubles point, which, man, you think to that and you think if they had just been able to squeak out another one of the doubles today, they would already have this win in the bag for 2, and this matchup wouldn't be as intense as... Yeah, Chargers stole both points there. It's 5-4 now. So Dakkyo needs to win both. And it can't be the second point. These next 4 points could potentially end the day for the Eagles. Dakkyo's going to have to take 2 here, make it 6-5. After she makes it 6-5, is going to have to do another point to try and make it 7-5 to get the victory. You cannot finish a set. You can't finish the set on 6-5. 3.5 hours deep into this one. Here at the Edgewood Bath and Tennis Club in Middlebury, Connecticut. About 30 minutes away from volleyball getting underway as well. And we have a light day of athletics tomorrow. Football at Pace University. Then your men's soccer team at home against Southern Connecticut. 4 points will do the trick here for the Chargers to win it. 4 points for Dakkyo. Sends this game to a 5-5 tie. A lot of high balls here. Nothing powerful and low. There's the powerful and lower one by Dakkyo. And now that's going to send this one back and forth into a lower matchup. Got to think, too, with this way the second set's been, fatigue potentially setting in. I mean, both players are not moving a whole lot and hitting it to target spots where nothing can happen. And Dakkyo gets a point there, so 15 love for the Eagles. Dakkyo needs this point here to keep the Eagles alive in set 2. The Eagles looking to eliminate the Chargers from CAC tournament contention, put themselves on the verge of the playoffs with a win and a Goldie Beacom loss tomorrow. Goldie Beacom would be eliminated with a loss tomorrow. Couldn't see who that was to, but where the ball fell, I'm thinking it might be 30-15 now in favor of the Chargers. I think the ITA ref called it out, just like he called that one out. Again, you have to serve it to the opposing box, that first box over the net. Does right there. Looks for that little tap. Dakkyo, beautiful. Julia Dakkyo with a nice finish there. Just shot into no man's land with a nice little back tap over the net, out of the reach of the Chargers. I believe we got 30 all now. Pivotal point here for the Eagles. Trying to keep their hopes alive to win this match. Win today's game. Looks like Dacio wanted to go with the drop shot again. That one's out. 40-30. It takes 2 points for the Chargers to take this one and win it all. 1 point for Dacio to get it to 5-5. This is crucial right here. Dacio just served it out of that box. If she does that again, it would be tied. Gets that one over. That's really all you got to do if you're Julia Dacio, is just get it over, because your opponent doesn't have that strong of a ball, as they tie it up at 40. Here we go, single point deuce. Can Julia Dacio get the win here? Eagles have fought for their lives these last 2 matches. An electric afternoon on a rainy day here in Middlebury, Connecticut. Saw it all. Dacio serves it over. What a night. Oh, man. Yeah, it looks like they did call it in. At first, Dacio reacted like, yes, I got it. And then it looked like I thought the ITA official just ruled it out. So here we go, 5-5. I mean, she just barely got that one on the line. That one's out. 15 love. Eagles. Looking, can Dacio answer with 2 points back and make it 6-5? And put the Eagles on the verge. If this goes 6-6, they'll go, I believe it's to a 7-point tiebreaker. We got a 15-15 ball game, folks. Chargers can't win it here no matter what, because it would be 6-5. But if you're Dacio, you want that advantage and have to only get 1 point down the stretch instead of 2. Because once it goes to 6-6, then it can be 7-6. $30, 15, Dacio. So we hit the 5:30 hour here. In Middlebury. Hold on, folks. We got a good finish. That one's out. Now we're tied at 30. Chargers battling for their lives here. Eagles trying to make it a bit easier. That one's out. 40-30 Eagles. Eagles trying to make it a little bit easier for getting into the playoffs. Oh, beautiful placement there by the Chargers, and we go to a deuce. Again, this is not the match point. I believe Dacio won the first point, so it's currently 5-5. It would be 6-5 in favor of either team here. Again, the Eagles do still need to win another set, though. That's the problem. Like, folks, this is not the deciding set. This is set 2. And Dominican gets the point. ITA official ruled it out on Dacio. Neither team in the second set has been able to get momentum. Waiting for the score change. We get it now. Six to 5 Dominican. So my eyes were correct in terms of calling those points last two sets. All comes down to this, honestly, if you're the Eagles. Again, you can force that 6-6 and go to the 7-point tiebreaker. 4 points stand between Dacchio and that. 4 points stand between a 7-5 victory in this set, and then this match for Dominican, who would win it 4-3. And again, this is not even the decisive third set. The Eagles are just trying to keep their hopes alive of winning today. The only way they can do that is if they steal the second set here. Cloud's starting to darken a little bit. It may just be because it's getting later in the day, but rain is in the forecast. But as I mentioned earlier, checking the Futurecast, it didn't seem like anything was going to come in. Again, giving you the best angle we can right now. I appreciate you watching. About 3.5 hours deep into this. No technical issues. Fingers crossed the rest of this way. Again, it's the first point of a 6-5 set. That one goes out. 15-love. Dominican. Chargers just lofting balls up at Dacchio with a nice spike. 15-15. That one's out. 30-15 Dominican. 2 points away from victory. Every time it's looked like Dominicans had this, though, the Eagles have made a run back. Can Dacchio do it once more here? Force that third set. Well, force the tiebreaker first, then a third set. One thing that I will say in watching this match so closely is that Dacchio seems to have the advantage in terms of that finishing move or finishing play. Person out there for the Chargers right now, which we said their name earlier, I have to go and take another look at it, just doesn't seem to have that killer move. It's a lot of high balls. Dacchio has that spike up high, has a little more a lower approach, and that goes out. 40-15. Julie Dacchio's going to need 3 straight points here. Chargers fighting for their lives in the CACC tournament race. Could all come down to this. Long rally here. Neither side really getting a good hit on it. It's literally just been the Chargers person serving it up high and Dacchio responding with it right back. It almost looks like they're just playing back and forth. Who's going to blink first at this point? Dacchio needs the point. Neither one has been able to get below the ball, and it's just been elevating it, and that one was the first low one we've seen in quite some time. We're going right back to the air again. Very, very long serve. Going back and forth. Another high ball from the Chargers. Dacchio is going to probably respond in kind. And she does. And it's hard because you're dropping it in there so high. Now we get a final low ball here, back and forth. This is probably going to be where it comes down to, folks. Right back to the high ball again. If you're dropping it in there, it's really hard. How do you hit it straight on without swinging and missing? And Dominican's going to take it. Dacchio hits it high. Chargers stay alive in the CACC Conference Tournament playoff picture for now. Julia Dacchio gave it everything she had in that match and wasn't able to get back into it and win it, but nonetheless, a great effort from the Eagles today without their top player in CC D'Souza. They fought tooth and nail for this one and just could not get the job done, unfortunately. So the Eagles dropped 4-3 in this one. They fall to 6-6, 3-4 in conference play. Dominican gets their first win of the year, 1-5 overall, 1-5 in conference. They stay alive. Goldie Beacom were just ahead of them at 1-5 as well. So if one of those teams was to win out and the Eagles were to lose out, the Eagles would fall out of the playoff picture. But that's not exactly looking probable. Eagles with a chance against Chestnut Hill, Jefferson, and Wilmington. They got 3 shots. On the flip side, one loss from Dominican eliminates them. Same thing for Goldie Beacom at this point because Goldie Beacom does not hold the tiebreaker against the Eagles. But that'll do it for us here. Final score of today's match, 4-3 Dominican. I'm Mike Vesci signing off. Tune into volleyball getting underway in about 20 minutes with Griffin Cass on the CACC Network and YouTube. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next Friday for the women's tennis matchup against AIC.